this year's Boise State governor, so he can give his remarks on what he felt from the week. I'd like to introduce, sponsored by Clinton Post 259, Mr. Cooper Charkatz. Governor Cooper Charkatz.
Commander Myers, delegates, thank you for your hospitality and warm greeting this morning. Thank you, Commander Myers, and thank you, delegates, for generously sponsoring Boise State program once again this year. Just a few weeks ago, I would not have envisioned standing before this group today, and that's the theme I would like to discuss with you this morning. When the citizens arrive at Boise State, we are greeted with a question that none of us are prepared to answer. Who knows what they got themselves into? This same question is the very last question at the end of the week. And it is this question I would like to address this morning with my 4 main takeaways from Boise State, each that I believe are relevant to this group today as a first-hand account why Boise State matters. The first point is a technical point. Boise State is a crash course in civics, which is an interesting irony today. As this group knows, Boise State started in 1935 as a counterweight to the socialist and short-lived Young Pioneers camp. Today, young generations need Boise State for an equally, if not more subtle reason. Without the direct threat of a Young Pioneers camp, we are increasingly apt to take our civil liberties for granted. I believe that it is not a coincidence that socialism is no longer a stigma among a growing portion of our population. Socialism is not a threat from the outside anymore, it is a threat from the inside. Which leads me to my second point. Boise State connects us. A week at Boise State is somehow more than 24 hours and 7 days. It is tiring and it is immersive. It is an environment where we form bonds with new friends, and the very same bonds that tie the 17 and 18-year-old attendees at this year's Maryland Boise State ties to every one of you who are 17 and 18-year-old attendees at Boise State and your children and their children. I'm grateful to the American Legion, and while that gratitude might be gratitude to the American Legion that differs from yours, Boise State is a reason the American Legion is relevant to everyone in the state and this country beyond the community of those who serve. My third point is what it takes to win the governor position at Boise State. I have to admit, running for an elected office, even a simulated elected office, opens your eyes on what it takes to win. One way to win is to pander, and I do not believe that I pandered to win. But it is easy to see how winning elected office is very different than serving as an elected leader. The other approach to winning is by letting your opponent lose, and that was, to be honest, my strategy. And what I learned is a broader lesson that we all see today. A genuine win on the merits political process is ideal, but the more frequent reality is something else. Yet despite the fact there's always been a cynical strain that runs through politics, I believe the majority of young people today are just as thirsty for genuine leadership as earlier generations. Again, the Boise State curriculum, if more widely integrated into our educational system, would go a long way. The final point is what I learned about leadership, and it is a very different lesson than I would have imagined. A brief story. Sunday, 12:41, I ran back into the gymnasium to retrieve my cell phone, which I left in my bag. As you probably know, rule number 1 at Boise State is no cell phones. But why do I know it was 12:41? Mr. L2, as we're instructed to call him, or Matt Latimer to the ones that might know him here, stopped me along the way to let me know how important it was that I remember to retrieve my cell phone, or else I could have upset a very important week. I did not know until moments before I left Boise State that at 12:41, Mr. L2 sent his text to his brother reading the following. Kim Ford, name was Cooper, the future governor. Mr. L2 never told me to run for governor. He didn't say much at all, actually. What he did was encourage me. First by telling me that this week could have been one of the most important weeks of my life, then with an approving nod when I told him I was running for my party's primary, then with an encouraging word when I told him I won my party election next to run for the governor position. I did not come to Boise State with the intent to run for governor. I did not know much at all coming in, but I knew enough to what it means to run. What I learned from Mr. L2 about leadership is that true leadership is not about winning elected office or convincing people to act in ways that leaders with titles are so often portrayed. It is about doing something to help others accomplish goals that they never could accomplish or never considered accomplishing in the first place. Mr. L2's confidence in me, warranted or not, gave me the confidence to accomplish something that only days before I would have not considered on my own. I'm applying to college this fall, and my first choice is a service academy. Many times throughout the process, they ask us to define an example of leadership. This question is so often difficult to answer, but I think I understand leadership, at least in one form. And I owe that to Maryland Boys State, the ongoing support the American Legion provides to this program, Commander Myers, and his selfless dedication of work for a week away from his family that begins on Father's Day every year, and Mr. L2 for a valuable life lesson and what I hope to be in a future where I can prove him right as many times as I possibly can. Thank you.
Mr. Governor, I'd like for you to present the Reverend Valentine Weisser Memorial Trophy to your post sponsor, Clinton Post 259. And on behalf of Maryland Boys State and the American Legion, Governor Charkatz, you receive the John F. Kennedy Memorial Trophy. It's awarded to the Governor of Maryland Boys State.
Wow.
Congratulations. Thank you, and that completes my report.
Give the governor one more round of applause, please. And now I would like to introduce to you a representative. He's representing the mayor of Ocean City. His name is Tom Perlacio. He's the director of tourism.